Hello, hello, hello. It is Janie Coffee, and I am so excited to be on with you guys. This is our monthly mastermind masterclass training for luxury real estate and all things real estate. I am here every second Wednesday of the month, and we are super excited to have you on. So, today's topic, and you're going to see this theme of the lighthouse throughout the whole training today, because what we really need in today's market, what buyers need, what sellers need, what fellow agents need, what team members need, we all need kind of a beacon in the storm, a beacon of strength and stability to guide us home. So I want you guys to take kind of this core feeling of you being the beacon, you being the lighthouse, and hold on to that, not only through this training, but in any of your conversations with people regarding real estate for the foreseeable future. So let me open this up here one sec. Our topic today is Luxury Success Masterclass, Thriving Through the Shift, the Market Volatility Survival Guide. Now, we're not saying that the market is volatile in every market. We certainly know. Jeremy, can you tell me if my screen is okay? Because I feel like it kind of scrunched up a little bit. We know that the market might be still strong for sellers in some markets, but generally speaking, across the country, across North America, we are seeing a big shift for a lot of different reasons. And we're going to touch on some of those reasons today, and we're going to give you kind of your own survival guide so that you can become the beacon to the people that you reach out to, and that you feel equipped, you feel good, you feel strong, and you feel powerful, because we also understand that probably around 75% of agents who are in the market right now have not been through a shifting market. We've had a kind of slow down and a stabilization the past 2 years, but we are definitely feeling a pinch. I am here in Northeast Florida, which is, I think, the top 4 shifting markets in the country. So I'm really feeling it. During the Great Recession, I owned a brokerage in Miami, which was like one of the hot places of a shifting market. So I have a lot of success and background in getting through these shifting markets. And that's what I want to share with you guys here today. So let's get on into it. Let me see. I'm not going to be checking the chat during the training, but we will open up the last 10-15 minutes for any questions you guys might have, because we definitely want to be a great resource for you. So in times of change, leadership is everything. And when I mean leadership, I don't just mean leadership to your team, if you have a team, or agents that look up to you. I mean leadership in your conversations, in what you are explaining to buyers and sellers. Not all of them have been through a shift as well. So they are really looking to us as the professionals to help be that calm lighthouse, to be that guide and beacon. But we also have to be seen in that way by developing trust with them, by staying calm, and by giving them guidance. So we're going to talk all today about all those different things. When clients feel uncertainty, they look to us for clarity. And a lot of clients are feeling uncertainty right now. I just had to have a tough conversation today with a seller who, even in Northeast Florida, again, even if they went on the market 4, 5, 6 months ago, it has shifted a lot in the last 3 or 4 months, and we're not sold. And I was having to have a conversation about the realities of the market and the options and the choices that they have. So your calm and your strategy are your biggest assets. The market rewards advisors, not just agents. And again, if you haven't been through a shifting market, you will not quite maybe fully understand what I mean between being an advisor and an agent. But if you imagine a financial planner, an attorney, a CPA, they are advisors. They are giving you advice, guidance. They're helping you understand the choices that you have, and they're telling you, if you do this, this very likely will happen. If you do this, this very likely will happen. They're not just order takers. They're not just yes people. They are truly, truly advising. And your clients don't need noise. They don't need panic. They need calm clarity, and they need to understand what is going on, not just nationally, not just in your state, but locally, because things can be very, very different. They might be watching national news that is saying one thing, but in your state or your province or your town, it's very different. And so you need to be showing up with stability, data, explanations of what this means to them, and then the solutions, right? So we definitely are in a shift. If any of you have been in real estate, again, longer than 18 years, 18 years is the typical length of a real estate cycle, at least in the US. And it looks like this. And you can go back 100 years and you're going to see something very similar to this. Our cycle has been a little longer than normal because when COVID happened to a lot of people, a lot of things helped the real estate market. We had really low interest rates, historically low interest rates. We had people moving around to get out of states with high COVID restrictions and moving into states with low COVID restrictions. So we had what would have been already kind of a contracting market in an 18-year cycle. We already had it. We were coming up to that when in around, let's see, if the market started to recover 2008, 2009, by early 2020, 2022, somewhere around there, we should have already been seeing kind of this recession kind of contract. I don't mean recession, US recession or North America recession, but a recession of the real estate market. We should have already been having that, but we didn't because of the COVID and the interest rates and all that stuff. Now we have been feeling it. You definitely have been feeling it in 2023, 2024. And now, right now, we have a lot of other additional things going on that are affecting our real estate market. We still have higher interest rates. We have, talks of tariffs, different things like that that are causing people to pause out. The reason I'm saying all of this is any cycle in real estate is normal. It is normal, and it is something for folks who have been in real estate 25, 30, 40. I have a family friend who just celebrated 60 years in real estate, if you can believe it. We've all been through it. We know what it feels like, but if you haven't yet been through it as an agent or as a buyer, it seems good, but as a seller, it can be very kind of concerning and scary. Rate fluctuations, economic cycles, all of this kind of adds to people's fear. And right now, what we are going through, or what I am feeling, is what I'm calling like the great stall. There's always this period where sellers seem to be still in the past, right? They're 2022, 2021, the heyday. Buyers are kind of like Chicken Little, stressing out, and it's really hard to find the ones that are meeting in the middle. So there is a lot of kind of waiting, right? A lot of kind of waiting. And so that's important for you too, as part of your toolkit. I'm going to drop in a whole bunch of things in today's training so that you can be building your own toolkit, how to get through this with flying colors, with spades, and be extremely, extremely well positioned, not only to get through whatever is going in your local market, but to come out on the other side like as a complete boss in your market, because you're going to be stepping up and showing strength and leadership, right? So what we are seeing is, like I said, the news is saying things, people are seeing kind of changes, and I want you to kind of become equipped with all of this. So there are 3 things that we need to deliver to the people that we're working with, and what the role of the agent actually is. Because if you work predominantly with sellers, a lot of times sellers are thinking that we can change the market, that we can change what a buyer is willing to pay. We cannot change that. So what we need to do is to make sure that sellers, if that's who you're working with, truly understand what our role is. Our role is to give them clarity, facts, not fluff, explain what the facts mean to them, to stay calm, because right now is when sellers, I'm sure you guys have experienced it, sellers are kind of so on edge, so stressed that if we don't kind of pull them back, again, be that beacon like the lighthouse provides, they are like just going crazy. And I see it all the time. I talk to agents all the time, and they're telling me like, crazy stories of sellers freaking out about minor things or not relevant things, but they don't know where to grasp onto. They don't know where to find kind of stillness. And that's what you want to give them, stillness with information. And then we need to build connection with them now more than ever. We need to have emotional intelligence. We need to be able to give them kind of an understanding of what's going on to keep them calm. So it makes them feel that you are grounded, everything is okay, and it might not be exactly what they want, but there is a path forward, and you're giving them the information on how to get to the path forward. So, of course, if you're working with sellers, one of the most important things, probably the most important thing, is pricing, and pricing to today's market, not yesterday's market, and pricing with the understanding that the true value, the highest the market will bear, is what buyers will pay. Assuming that you've done all the great marketing and you're really getting it out there and you're targeting the right people to be seeing the property, that you're getting it in front of them, but the market is driving the price. So you have to set realistic expectations up front with your sellers. I have something I call the prestige pricing protocol, where, excuse me, is getting sellers on board early with the idea that pricing is dynamic. And what I mean by that is a lot of sellers think that pricing is static, that the market is static. And they think whatever the situation is on the week that they list their property, that everything is static, and it's not. It's very dynamic. Things shift. And if it's shifting towards a buyer's market in any way, we need to stay ahead of that shift. And we get that by giving them expectations of what we need to be tracking. We need to be tracking online views. We need to be tracking saves. We need to be tracking calls and inquiries about the property, and ideally showings, and let them understand, hey, in this price point, we should be receiving, 2 or 3 showings a week, or maybe in your area, it's 5 showings or 10 showings a week. Maybe it's 1 showing a week, but setting the expectations so they know to look out for that is really, really important, so that if you're not getting those things, if you're not getting that sign that the market is responding to the price, then they're understanding, okay, we need to shift, we need to adjust. We need to normalize price reviews from day one. And I like to say that right now, if I'm going to go on a listing presentation, there's a whole host of things I say, but 2 of the most important things that I say now that I wouldn't have been saying even a year ago is I will often lead the conversation with, like, hey, what are you seeing in the news about the market? I want to make sure that you understand that the market we're in right now, that now is not the time for aspirational pricing. Now is the time to be really tuned in with the market so that we can beat the market, meaning we can sell for the highest the market will bear. Beat the market does not mean selling for what the seller wants if it's not achievable. It means selling for the highest the market will bear. So I talk to them about that, and I say, hey, I'm sometimes going to have to tell you things that you might not want to hear, but that you need to hear. So they know from day one in today's market that this is very dynamic, and we need to keep our finger on the pulse of everything like a complete hawk. And by doing this, it helps you maintain seller trust throughout any adjustments that you need to make. They kind of become your partner in keeping an eye on things. They're seeing if comps around them are making price adjustments at all. They're seeing if properties around them that they consider comps are expiring or delisting or leaving the market. And if you frame it this way, they start to feel like any change in price is strategic. It's not defeat, because that's so important. That's so, so, so important. And helping them have agency in their own decision about how they strategically place their property regarding price in the market becomes super, super important to keep them as feeling as empowered in this, as an ally in the sale of their property, rather than being, dragged through the market. It's a challenging thing, but it is possible. The other thing I talk to them a lot about, and I use this analogy all the time, is that we are fishing for the buyer pool, meaning somewhere there's a pool of buyers. Our line in the ocean is the price. And if we are close to the pool of buyers, we're going to be getting showings. If we're far away, we might be getting a lot of online views, we might be getting saves, but we're not going to be getting as many showings as we want. So we might need to do some kind of adjustment. And I like to say high views and low showings. High views means I'm doing my job for the marketing. But low showings mean they've already decided that price with what they're seeing online, that location, whatever it is, doesn't make enough sense for them to actually go see it. Now, if you're starting to get high showings, but no offers or no talks of offers, then there's something at the property that specifically they can't see online, an odor, sounds from a bridge, train track, something like this. And so I like to have conversations so they understand we might need to do a price adjustment. And I call it a price adjustment, a price improvement, a change in strategy, so that we can keep dropping our line until we start to get the nibbles where we really know we're in the game with the buyer. Super, super important. If you don't use, as much as I cannot stand Zillow, I'm not a huge fan of homes.com, but using those metrics, you can look on how many views you've received on Zillow the last 7 days, the last 30 days, and you can do screenshots of that. And then on homes.com, they have even a better report for your listings, where they show not only the views that your listing is getting, but they show the views that the most similar other listings are getting in comparison to yours. So if they are at all concerned that their listing is not getting out there, they're not getting the right exposure, you can show them from the homes.com report how many views they're getting compared to the competition. Now, if you are at EXP and you're in the luxury division, on top of Zillow, on top of homes.com, you're going to have the whole luxury listing distribution and weekly report from our luxury listing partners like the Wall Street Journal and the Robb Report. And your MLS might have data as well. Use all of that information to keep them informed about the exposure that you are generating for that, so they can see that you are really, really getting it out there. I like to talk to them about buyer psychology so they understand the buyers in the market are nervous too right now. They don't know what's going on. They don't want to buy when they feel the market still might go down some potentially. So I like to kind of pull them back into the eyes of the buyer as much as I can so that they can understand. Right? If you haven't yet watched the training we did on pricing, we did training on pricing on this channel, I want to say May. So if you haven't yet seen the specific more deep dive training on pricing, go back to the May training. Jeremy might be able to drop that link in there as well. The next thing is, let's say you've got it priced and you're on the market and you're not getting, and now you really do feel now is the time to have like a proper conversation about price reductions. We also have a training on that. I think that was probably April. So we have a whole entire training on price reductions, because there's a whole system that you can develop about price reductions, so that by giving them all the information up front as far as expectations, what to watch, what kind of to keep an eye on, how things evolve over time, they might be coming to you about price improvements or price reductions. But if not, you need to be ready to have the conversations, and you need to be able to explain how this is going to keep your property fresh, that you're going to do a reboot, a refresh. If you do some kind of price change, that should normally include changing the front picture, maybe changing up the text description, maybe at the same time running a print ad or having some kind of open house. Let them know you're going to meet them together. They're reducing the price, but then you're really going to bring something to bear as well to kind of freshen it up and reboot the whole entire listing. Use language that's positive about any price change. We talk about price improvement. We talk about change of strategy, that we want to stay ahead of the market so that they, again, feel agency in those decisions, that they're not feeling dragged by the market. That's the whole thing a lot of times. Another thing is if they're talking about what they want to have, what they need to have, what their neighbor sold for, we have to constantly bring them back into, we need to price for today's market. We need to stay with today's market and today's buyers, right? And kind of pull them back. So what I always have and what I always discuss is we're going to take the average days on market for your specific price point, your location, whatever that average days on market, we're going to divide it into thirds. And I call that the third strategy. And I say that first third, if you're at all wanting to make sure that, you haven't left money on the table or given it away, we can price it within reason for that first third, but we are going to be like hawks paying attention to how the market is responding. And again, how the market is responding is, are we getting the proper showings? Are we getting interest? If not, and we get to the first third of the average days on market, we need to make a price adjustment. You might even put into your listing agreement what that price is. I just, this past week, put that into my listing agreement, what that price adjustment's already going to be. And I said, we're going to divide it up into thirds. In this particular case, it was about 45 days was the average days on market for that area. So I said, by the first 2 weeks, if we don't have the proper amount of attention and showings that we should be getting, we need to adjust. If we get to the second third, so in my case of 45 days, that would be 30 days, we need to get really, really serious because we don't want to risk becoming stale. So again, this helps them feel in control because it's strategy. It's not, letting the market drag them. They are being strategic. It also allows them to make sure they're not leaving money on the table, because that's what a lot of sellers right now in today's market are concerned about. So we let them feel that we're going to test the market, we're going to get it out there, but we also need to adjust smoothly and quickly if the market is not responding as we'd like. So that kind of covers both bases. And that's why I have the conversation with them in the beginning. Do you understand what the market is going through right now? Because we want to make sure that you do understand we might have to have price adjustments. We have to be nimble. We have to pay attention so that we can stay ahead of that. And I'm also having those conversations because I don't want to list a property, me personally, Janie, I don't want to list a property with somebody who's unrealistic, unmotivated, stuck in 2021, 2022 pricing, because I'm going to expend my money, my bandwidth, my goodwill, my finances, all of that, trying to get them a dream of a price that doesn't exist right now. So I'd rather just not take that listing. Now, other people might be willing to take the listing and they're happy because they want a lot of listings on the market. But I can tell you, as somebody who went through the Great Recession, that kind of business plan financially put a lot of people in a really bad place, agents, because they were spending so much money marketing listings that were not sellable at prices because they weren't willing to have the tougher conversations with sellers, and they weren't willing to walk away if they felt that the seller's bottom line price was just not an achievable price. They thought, I can take it, I can wear them down. Some people are really good with that. It's just not my business plan. So you have to figure out what's right for you. The next thing I also like to say is, and I throw it out right out there, I say, there is a price that you don't even need me. Would you agree with that? Would you agree that there is a certain price that you could price your property that you don't even need an agent? You might need an agent to help write a contract and negotiate that, but you don't need the marketing and all of that. Yes, right? Conversely, there's a price that I cannot help you. I can't, no matter what I do, no matter how much I spend on marketing, no matter how much I do all the things, the market just won't bear that price right now. And I say that because a lot of times they have not yet conceptualized that. So I say, if you want to sell in today's market, understanding that it is a tougher market than it was a few years ago, if you do want to sell, do intend to sell, then we can work together to maximize the highest the market will bear. And I say those words all the time, the highest the market will bear. So they understand the market drives the price, not them, the seller, not me, the agent. We are going to work together to get the highest the market will bear. The other thing I point out to them, and this is at the listing appointment, or maybe if you're having a price reduction conversation, get the data from your own MLS, your real market. But this is a screenshot from my real market. And I say 10 homes have recently sold in your price point in this location. There's 75 homes on the market right now in this location, in this price point. Buyers have lots and lots of choice. And while you might not feel desperate, which is what they don't want to feel, there's other folks that are. There's other sellers that are. And they might have more incentives. They might be willing to drop their price more. Buyers have a lot of choice. So if it is our goal to get to sold, we need to deal with the market that we have, and we need to explain to them the difference between being on the market and in the market. So on the market is listed, just like all these other 65 homes here. They are all on the market. The folks that are selling are the folks that are in the market. They are listed to sell. They are taking the clues from the market. They are listening to what the buyers are saying. If the buyers are giving feedback that there are things that they cannot change, meaning maybe there's an obsolete layout or there's outdated improvements where it doesn't make sense for the seller to make those changes. Price is always the great equalizer, meaning if there's things the seller can't change, it's going to come down to price. Price is always the great equalizer. Again, assuming that you've done a great job marketing. And you can prove to them you're doing a great job marketing, again, by using those reports from Zillow, from Homes.com, from eXp's luxury division if you're in it, from your own brokerage tools if you're at a different brokerage, from your MLS if they have it. You have to show them that you're doing everything possible to get it out there. But when you've done that and you've shown them that you're getting the views, then it always comes down to price every single time. Every single time. So this tool alone actually helped one of the agents that I work with to get a really nice price adjustment the other day that finally got her seller in striking distance of where the pool of buyers really, really are. Also, if you don't know, and a seller saying, I can wait, I'm not in a rush, it's our job to tell them waiting is never a way to normally increase what you're going to sell for. Because when you're waiting, every time you're waiting, every day you're waiting is another opportunity for a new house to come on the market, one of the comps to make a price reduction, the economy to shift in a less advantageous way. Waiting is not good. I know it feels like it should be good, and I know it's counterintuitive. I'm saying to the seller, but we want to be in front of any market shifts. We want to stay the little darling in the eyes of the buyers out there in the market right now. So waiting is not good. So moving on to the next thing, and this happens a lot too, keep deals moving when clients freeze, right? Freeze could be a lot of different things. Freeze could be they don't want to respond to a not great offer, or they don't know how to adjust, or they're nervous. You want to keep momentum. You want to keep things going. Acknowledge their emotion. It is very emotional, especially if you're a seller in a changing market. It is very emotional. As you go up in price point, in addition to just not being able to maybe sell the house at what you thought, you have the additional emotion of often sellers in luxury homes. They might have built that home from scratch or done a massive renovation or a massive something. So they have a lot of their own emotion connected to that house or that property. A lot of their kind of self-identity is connected to that. You see that a lot in higher priced homes. And again, they probably had some dreams or things like that they were going to be able to live out if they sold at the price they had thought or hoped or wanted to sell for. So acknowledge that the emotion is there. Say, I get it. This is not easy to deal with. It is frustrating. I get it. But let's look at where we are and make some decisions that are going to work with you for what we have now. Talk about facts and data. This is where you need to get really good about understanding the data from your MLS, information that you're getting from the news and what it means specifically to you. This is where ChatGPT can really be your friend. I actually wrote a email to a seller recently, and I used ChatGPT to help me pull together some really great articles where I was able to deliver in a very empathetic, caring, yet informed way. This is the market that we're in now. I know it wasn't this way 3 months ago or 4 months ago, but this is where we are now. I gave the articles, and then I said, and here are options. And the options were, you can stay on the market and keep hoping, but we're not seeing it improving in the way that you like. You can take the home off the market and decide to stay in the home right now. You can take the home off the market and go on with the plans that you had and rent the property out, or we can make some kind of price improvement or change our price strategy so that we can find where the buyer pool starts fighting so that you can actually sell and just be done with this chapter. So putting things together in clear ways, next step scenarios, breaking it down, letting them know they have choice. That's another thing too, is letting them know they have choice. Again, it might not be the choice they wanted, but they do have choice, and we always want to empower them. We want to give them agency in their own decisions. A lot of things too, sometimes when I'm talking to sellers and they've gotten an offer that they're not happy with, right, because they're in 2 years ago pricing, I say, but we were asked to dance, meaning those buyers, they had 65 other choices of homes they could make an offer on, but they chose to dance with us. They chose to make an offer with us. So let's not get upset. Let's not get insulted. Let's not tell them to pound sand. Let's see if we can work together. And then in addition, and this is just tips for you guys, hold on to every deal that you can get under contract. Do whatever you need to get that all the way to closing. It is so difficult right now. So many deals are falling out at inspections, are falling out because buyers are just getting cold feet. So prepare your sellers too. If you're seeing an increase of properties coming out of contract after inspections or at different steps, prepare your sellers so they know what to expect, and they maybe are more willing to work with the buyers if a bump comes up than they might have been a few years ago. We are seeing it a lot. In a hot market, buyers will overlook a lot of things with the condition of the property. In a slow, stable, or down market where buyers have a lot of choice, again, 65 properties to choose from, buyers become super finicky, even about the littlest thing. A typical seller in a hot market could get very frustrated with that, and we just need to bring them back to reality. Hey, is it worth really blowing this deal up, this thing? Let's put it into, perspective. We had a deal recently where we were representing the buyer, and we got them a really pretty good deal on the property. And the seller had said, this is absolutely as is. I'm not going to renegotiate anything after inspections. Well, some things did come up, and we were able to work with the other agent to get through inspections because the seller realized a bird in the hand, that phrase, better than, 12 in the bush or something like that. So start to, as you hear, as you attend trainings, as you read things, start to make your little list of talking points about market volatility that resonate with you so that you can say them very easily and very fluently, as you're in conversation. Like I said, I like to say all the time about the highest the market will bear, the highest the market will bear. That's one of my favorite phrases. I talk about the pool of fish and things like that, but the buyers, but find a few talking points that resonate with you. One of the students I work with, or a fellow agent that I work with, she actually records those talking points in her own voice. And then she just plays that on repeat when she's in the car, when she's driving around, so that when she's talking to a buyer or a seller about market volatility or price adjustments or anything like that, she has this kind of quick recall of, top 5 or 10 things that, make a lot of sense and help kind of bring them into, kind of snap them into reality of, okay, this is where we are. Some scripts for price conversation, some things you could be saying is, we're not seeing engagement meaning showings or people really willing to make offers. The market is signaling that we're off. That's something that you could say. The price point has had X months of inventories. Buyers have options. Today, I just ran the data for my whole market, and we were already tipping towards 6 months of inventory. And that includes even the lowest prices in our home. Lowest prices of our entire area, where in the height of the market, we had less than 1 month of inventory. So our whole market is already tipping into seller and explaining to them what that means, a buyer's market and a seller's market. If you're not familiar with using RPR, you can really pretty easily pull up some great graphs and data to show your sellers, if that's who you're working with, or buyers, because sometimes buyers are, again, they think it's 2007 and the market's crashing out, and maybe it's not. And you can show them, no, we're actually in a stable market right now. We have 4.5 months of inventory. So I understand what you read, that, prices are falling apart, but you have choice, but it's not a crazy market. So using RPR and using those graphs and data can be really, really helpful. When we reposition a property with price, I say, let's use the next 10 days or 15 days or 30 days to reposition the property and re-engage interest. And that's when I talked about, we change the front image. We maybe do a blast of online ads. Maybe we do a print ad. Maybe we do a broker's open house or a public open house. We talk about price improvement, price strategy. I also like to bring up, especially with sellers, what's our plan B? Like, if it doesn't sell, if you don't get what you're looking to get, what's your plan B? Have you thought about that? And sometimes that's enough to kind of snap them back into reality of, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. So I like to frame the conversation around price with the sellers, and then I anchor it. And what I mean by anchor it is, I like to say up front with sellers, an anchor, meaning what is the lowest price I think that they could actually sell for. So we know, like, what is the floor? We know you could get 1.5 for this house, right? You could go on the market today on your own and get 1.5. Yes. Okay. I like to get that out there so they know what kind of that price could be. And then again, I frame it with, and this is the max price. This is the max price I think we have any chance of getting. So they understand there's also a price that I'm not going to be able to magically somehow create out of thin air that doesn't. So we frame it and say, we need to adjust and stay nimble, do a great job marketing, do a great job keeping the home ready to show, great job adjusting to what the market is telling us so that we can maximize what the market can bear. Excuse me. So your action plan is to start to practice these scripts. Start to pick 1, 2, 3, 4 scripts, and I'm going to show you some more here in a minute of additional action steps to do for your survival kit. But start to practice some scripts depending on the market you are in. You might be in an extreme seller's market still, so you need conversations to have with buyers. You might be in a decreasing market like I am, so I need to have those price volatility conversations. I need to have pricing reality conversations. I need to have price reduction conversations. Find out where you are in your market and pick 2, 3, 4 of those and start listening to them, practicing, getting them kind of into your vocabulary so they just come out smoothly. Audit your listings for pricing position frequently, and not just audit them yourself, but have conversations at a minimum every 2 to 4 weeks with your sellers. Ideally, you're doing this in person. If you're not doing it in person, try to set up a screen share with them. And during that screen share, you can show them all the things you're doing marketing wise, but you can also show them what else is going on in the market. Look at this property that we thought was our comp has now expired. Look at this property that we thought was our comp has now made a price adjustment downward. Look at this comp that's now come up that we didn't have when we listed, and it's priced, less than us. Try to do that again, 2 to 4 weeks. Absolutely do not go more than 2 to 4 weeks. If they won't meet with you, then do a screen recording where you record the whole thing and send them the video so that they can watch it, or have them on a phone. But you need to be frequently updating them on everything that you're doing and the changes in the market. Super, super important. Super important. And then pull the market stats from your MLS or whatever tool that you use for market stats, for days on market, list to sales price ratio, months of inventory, so that you can keep them up to date on a monthly basis and show them if it's changed. Has it changed to more towards a buyer's market? Has it changed more towards seller's market? Because we want to stay ahead of any of these changes. So your survival kit would look like this, and you can start building this out for yourself, and you're positioning yourself as an advisor, not a salesperson. You're going to start building up an inventory of some price improvement scripts that sound good to you, that make sense to you. You're going to get good at having graphs, charts, and data that you're getting from your MLS or you're getting from RPR, and understanding what they mean and understanding how they change month after month so that you can be sharing that information with your sellers. Set up a search on Google search, on ChatGPT, or however it is that you search for news about the market in the area that you serve so that you can refer back to that so you have third-party validation of what you're saying. Super, super important. And you want it to be as specific to your area as possible, right? Not just your whole state, not just the country or anything like that, but specific to your area as much as possible. Be super communicative. And if your communication skills are not yet all the way there, because maybe you've only been in real estate during a hot market, start practicing these conversations. Start getting your market volatility talking points together so that you can be ready to have those conversations with seller. Have some kind of offer handling flow chart so you can say, okay, if this property comes in and it's, 20% off, how are we going to respond? Or just make it a point that we are going to respond to everybody. We're not going to tell anybody to pound sand or take a hike. We are going to see if we can bring people into reality in every situation. We're going to try to hold on to every deal that's under contract through whatever kind of things that come out with inspections, that come out with anything like that, and tell them up front that it is our goal to hold on to all of these. Build these kind of scripts and dialogues out in your own voice so it sounds comfortable when you say it. It sounds like it's coming from you. Have a luxury listing positioning checklist. So are you getting enough views? Are you getting enough saves? Are you getting calls for inquiries? If you change it up, are you going to change the front photo? Are you going to have an open house? Are you going to run a digital ad? What are you going to do if you reposition your listing? And then work on your own mindset, because the importance of all of this has to also come from you as a very grounded person, a professional advisor to your clients. And if you yourself are kind of in a spiral, that's going to bleed through in your conversations. So you do have to spend time working on your own mindset. And you might have tools in your toolkit about how you do that as well. That might be visualization, that might be affirmation statements, whatever it is, but get yourself and your mind right and see yourself again as that lighthouse to guide your buyers and sellers through these challenging times. So we're almost done, and then we'll open it up for a few questions if there are any. So in uncertain markets, the calmest voice wins the most trust. Trust is vital in a changing market, because often you are the person that they are going to be relying on to help give them advice so that they can make proper decisions. And they have to be able to trust you. Just like if a doctor is telling you and giving you some not great news about a medical condition, you are having to trust that doctor that they're going to give you the solutions or the treatment options, and that doctor knows what they're talking about, right? It might not be great news, but they're going to give you options and help talk you through. So right now, here's like a foggy area. We don't have choppy seas. Maybe in your area you have choppy seas, but sellers really need that calm voice, and that voice telling them that they have options and this is what it looks like. So if you leave with one takeaway, it's this: your calm, clear voice will win clients and market share in this climate. Super important, super important. You need to be the anchor for them. And if you're a team leader or if you're some other way an influencer in your own real estate community, meaning maybe you do a lot of social media or something like that, be that voice of strength and calm and information to the agents in your life as well. They need leaders right now. So your role is to incubate confidence, reports, feedback, staying visible and valuable to your seller. Super, super, super important right now, more than ever. That's always your job, but it is more important. So if you don't lead, they'll leave. And what I mean by that, especially with sellers, The seller's going to blame you if they're not getting their price. If you haven't been leading with all this information, they're going to let the listing expire and they're going to relist with another agent, often at the price you've been telling them the whole time, which is super frustrating. So if you haven't yet been through a shifting market, you need to work on these skills now. We don't know if this is going to be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years. We don't know. But it happens. And there's still buyers and sellers out there. And real estate will continue. It will go on. It's just a different real estate. And it's where we are in the cycle. And we just need to ground ourselves. We need to find strength. We need to educate ourselves. And then we need to be those beacons of light to our sellers. So my final thoughts, and then we'll open it up if we have any questions. You have to take leadership early with the conversations with your buyers, sellers, and your fellow agents. You have to use truth and strategy. Super important. You can't stick your head in the sand like an ostrich and act like things are not happening. And I'm not saying you are, but some agents do because they don't know how to have those conversations. They haven't had to before, right? They haven't had to before. And you need to build a system that will help you stick to your communication, your education, and your updates. Your communication with your sellers, your own education, because everything is so dynamic right now. It's shifting all the time. And then updating your sellers of what's going on. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing, and then we can open it up. Maybe there's some things in the chat and help answer them for you. I can't hear you.
Oh, there we go. Much better. And so, guys, that's some great stuff. Gold nuggets, like left and right out of that thing. And if you've been in real estate, like, let's say even a year, right? You've been in real estate at least a year. Some of that stuff probably has resonated with you in terms of, you know, stressing out over how they're going to communicate this to the clients, or, you know, stress. And really, that's the goal, is what are we doing to prepare to reduce the stress? Because you know the situation is coming up, right? You know that, you know, when a property sits longer than you think it is or should, it doesn't matter, right? The market determines that. So you have to be ready to just have those conversations with those clients. And that's really what a lot of this is about, is what can you have in your toolbox ready to go that's going to make it easy, less stress, right? To have those conversations and get to the factor you probably already knew you need to get to, but you have to talk to the seller. Now they have to be convinced, right? And honestly, they have to come to the result before you have to convince them, right? Like they have to get there, because it doesn't go well if you're just telling them straightforward, hey, right? They have to get there. And so that's huge. Anything else, guys? You guys have any questions about anything Janie talked about? Feel free to drop it into the chat. I'm monitoring Instagram as well, so I'm not forgetting you guys. So if you're on Instagram and you've got questions, feel free to drop them in there. And we'll hang out here for a minute and see if you've got any questions to answer. Anything struggling going on? I'm going to go and put these so great Janie stuff. Way to go, Kelly. Thanks for that. Elaine, that was great. Lots of great tips. Thanks, Janie. That's awesome. Feel free, guys, if you, I'm going to plug Janie. So if you guys have not, you know, checked out some of Janie's stuff, I think it's just, what is it, at Janie C? Is that what it is?
On Instagram, I'm just at Janie C. So Janie for my first name, C for coffee. I want to say something, Jeremy, while we're waiting for any other questions to come in. This is the time that you need to shift your mindset, that you do not want every listing. You don't, because there's still a lot of sellers stuck in 2 years ago pricing. And if you take too many of them, especially a luxury listing that are very costly to market, very time intensive because you have to show, you have to be generating a large enough funnel. And this is where your marketing comes into play, a large enough funnel that just as much as they're interviewing you about you listing their property, you are interviewing them if you want to work with them as a seller.
So good.
Or conversely as a buyer too, because you don't want somebody who is so much into the Chicken Little, the sky is falling, that they're looking to write offers at, 50% off list price just because. If you build yourself a big enough funnel and you take the mindset that you are the professional helping guide people through the storm, you get to pick and choose who you are going to spend your time with, because your time is your most precious asset that you can't create more of. And I don't care who you are, Mother Teresa, Benjamin Franklin, any president, any king, you cannot create more time, period. Industry, that's the one thing we can't create more of. So you need to be working with the most likely people who are realistic and motivated in today's market, because this is where I see agents go south the most and end up getting out of the business, is they don't build a big enough funnel, and then out of scarcity, lack, fear, they latch onto any person wanting to work with them. That is
So good.
really, really detrimental to your career. Really detrimental. So
I saw Paul's comment and it made me chuckle, but it's so true, Paul. Don't work with crazy people and don't let their drama be our drama. I get it. You know, and I think that is true. Is, you know, I just did a coaching session with an agent, you know, been in business 20 some years, luxury real estate agent. And they just basically got let go of. They, you know, because, and this is after they spent almost $4,000 in marketing. And, you know, it was because they never could meet eye to eye on what the property truly should be marketed as, right? And that was the bottom line. And so she spent so much time, so much effort in it. And it happens to all of us. Don't get me wrong. There's been plenty of projects I've worked on that I was like, yeah, that was crazy. And I get it. And obviously we're in, I'm not saying desperation mode, but if you ever get to that place where you're like, I'm going to take it because I got to have something, right? That's when it gets scary. And so what we try to have to do is build this consistency of always having options out there, right? And I get it, you know, in hard times, it's hard to get leads. It's hard to, you know, get solid potential leads. It's hard to get, you know, those foundationals up, but it's all about protecting yourself. And so protecting your business, the future of your business, really.
Yeah. And if you're a kind of person who has a business plan where you've calculated in and you made, okay, I'm calculating in that I'm going to get 80% of my listing appointments and I'm going to sell 60% of my listings, whatever those numbers are, I would caution you for sure on the listing side to reduce that percentage assumption that you think you're going to sell to lower. Right. So I normally, because I do a lot of, you know, higher priced properties, I have my listed to sold ratio. I keep it at around 60% because I know I'm not going to sell everything. But right now that might not even be low enough because so many people are stalled out that listings I took before the market really changed. And the only way you can save yourself is to generate more leads. That is and again, get your mind strong and your mindset set.
Love it. So last things, guys, just didn't see any other stuff kind of questions come in, but if you have anything real quick before we sign off, feel free. We'll be glad to grab it. You know, I think that the key to this is, are we ready? Right? Are we ready for what the market is throwing at us? Are we ready for, you know, do we have our toolbox ready? Are we prepared for what's coming? And that's what's going to be the game changer to making your business grow or be stale or even reduce your business. And so, you know, build your toolbox up. If your brokerage provides tools, figure out how to implement those, right? If you're part of a luxury division of some sort, you know, use those tools and be ready. You know, I think it's the keys to everything. All right. I think that is all we've got for today. Janie, thank you so much for sharing the valuable insights. Guys, you can check this channel out. It's loaded down with anything and everything in it. We've been doing this for months and months and months. So feel free to go back and look at the channel and see what's available to you. And if you have questions about anything, feel free to reach out. You know, hit us up and see what we can do to help. You know, our passion, honestly, Janie and I's both passion is to figure out how to help you grow your businesses. You know, and that's what wakes us up a lot. We're like, oh, what can we educate on today that's going to impact your business? And so the stuff that she shared today is good stuff, guys. Think through it, put some notes on paper, and then implement some stuff. All right, Janie, anything else?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You guys have a great one and have a great rest of your week.